Hold up.
Hey, Social Media United SMU crew. I'm excited to talk to you today about local small businesses. Now, I want to let you know you can dominate in this market in many different locations. You might be located in Minnesota, whoop, whoop. You might be in California or Texas, maybe in New York City. This is something that is a very popular option. A lot of people like to work with the businesses locally. It's not something everybody chooses, and we're going to kind of dive into the pros and cons of local small businesses because they're good, they're bad, they're all of the above. It just depends on how you go into this market. Now, when I say local small businesses, I mean literally when you drive down the street, you see businesses from gyms to chiropractors, boutiques, everything. So whatever it is that you see in your hometown or maybe in the 20-mile radius of your home, those are the local small businesses in your area. Now, let's dive on in because there are several things that you need to know when you're considering going into local small businesses as a niche. Now, there are some pros and cons to this, and I wouldn't be educating you fairly if I didn't share with you the cons. I think it's important to recognize that not everything is all just rainbows and sparkles and sunshine and gold pots, right? Like it's a little more work than that. Sometimes there are different things that can come up. So I want to dive on into them with you so that you are fully educated and aware whether or not you want to dive into local small businesses. Now, let's first things first dive into the pros. Local small businesses are oftentimes very loyal to locals. You'll find that many companies want to work with agencies that are local. It's something that is actually a very common practice. Most people aren't going to work with someone who emails them or pitches them. Now, that's not always the case, but you'll find that when you work with a local small business, they're very open to anyone from their hometown or home state because they believe that there's some like loyalty, that you represent their state, their area, you understand the culture, the people, etc. So one of the pros that's a massive pro is that they're going to be incredibly loyal to you. Now, the word of mouth is also insane. For one local small business owner, they probably have 20 friends that are local small business owners. So if you do a good job for one local small business owner, you're going to find that their friends, their cousins, their business networking event people, everyone is going to know about your work, and you're going to find that the word of mouth spreads like wildfire, especially when you ask for referrals. Now, the expectations are going to be different than online marketers. And this isn't good nor bad, but it can be easier. So, for example, when you work with online marketers, sometimes the expectations are a little bit, let's be honest, I'm talking about myself too, a little bit crazy. We have massive expectations because we know that we can put $1 in and maybe get $5 back or $10 back or even $2 back. Online marketers have a very high standard for what the return on investment is, the results that they can get, because we know too much, but it's also we don't know quite enough. And so what we're doing is we're expecting our providers to give us massive, massive results, even when that's not always the case or possible. So what you'll find with local small business owners is that their expectations are going to be different. Their expectations are going to have more to do with, like, for example, foot traffic or growing a following, maybe growing their email list, but they're not someone who's looking to grow a 1 million-person email list. No restaurant or boutique that's locally based is going to need that for per se. Whereas an online marketer, that's kind of our goal. We want insane numbers. So this is a pro without a doubt. Now, the face to face element can also be an awesome benefit for retention. Let's just be honest, we all love people that we can meet in person. We all love to connect with people deeply. And face to face is something that bonds you with clients in a way that online just doesn't. So this is a massive pro of working with local small businesses. It's huge. So it's going to help your retention. The other thing as well is the local element helps you to build trust faster. Just think about it. Has someone ever pitched you to build your website and you had no idea who the person was? You probably were apprehensive, right? Whereas when you meet someone in person, maybe at a coffee shop, and they're pitching you on building out your website, you're going to consider their offering significantly more because you trust them. There's that know, like, and trust of coming from the same area, knowing similar people, having the similar experiences in your day to day because of where you live, but also because you're able to meet face to face and connect directly. Now, there are also some cons to this as well. For example, everyone and their mother will want your services, but everyone and their mother may not have the budget. This is unfortunately a major con to working with local small businesses. So, one of the things I want to recommend is if you're going to branch into this niche or this industry, recognize that you're going to hear from a lot of people who aren't qualified to be your clients. They're going to say, "Oh yeah, I want this and I want this and I want this and I want this and my budget is $200 a month." And you're like, "Whoa." So go into it knowing that it's not you. It's not that they don't value you as a person. It doesn't determine your worth as a marketer, but just know that there are going to be a lot of people who will want your services that can't afford it. And you have to either come up with a package that makes sense at their price point. If it's, $500 a month, come up with something that you can do at that price point, or you're going to just have to be comfortable with saying no. So you're going to probably have a lot of meetings with people who aren't qualified to be clients. They may require more in-person meetings. To me, this feels like the biggest con because for me, my time is really precious and I don't want to be driving all over town, driving to meet people, going everywhere, if that makes sense. That is not something that is a pro to me. Some people prefer in-person meetings. And if you do, then you can scratch this off the cons list. But for me, I don't like taking the time to get ready and drive somewhere and then, have an hour-long meeting and then have to drive back home again. I'm not a huge fan of in-person meetings all the time. So you'll notice that local small business owners may be fast to say, let's get together for a meeting versus just connecting over Skype or over a phone call. So that is definitely a con for some people. Depending on where you live, it may be difficult. For example, some rural areas, maybe it's Iowa or Kansas, maybe Oklahoma, there aren't as many businesses that have budgets. So that's something that's good to know realistically. If you find yourself continually saying, "Oh, no one in my area has a budget," you either have to go for bigger businesses or maybe start relying on not working locally. So just recognize it doesn't work for every single market. I know, for example, in Minnesota, it's a hot market for local small businesses. If I were to go in that direction, I could dominate. Just recognize this though. Does it still sound like something you'd want to do when you hear the pros and cons? Here's how you can find local small business owners besides just the obvious going into their store and pitching them or calling them cold. Those things can work without a doubt, especially if you set up an in-person meeting from that first point of contact. But here are a few other ways to find them. Local networking meetings. These are really powerful. Some examples of that would be like BNI, which is Business Networking International, Rotary, Lions meetings, Chamber of Commerce, local networking events. If you're like, I don't know where any of these are, or maybe you don't have them in your area, you can check out like Eventbrite or ask other locals where they network with people. The networking events are probably happening either on a free website like Eventbrite, or maybe they have some paid networking meetings as well. And if you think about it, if you pay $25 to go to a networking meeting and you come back with one or two potential clients, that's a phenomenal return on investment. So it's absolutely a great way to find those clients. Now, how do you handle pricing and budgets that just don't meet the standards of what we talk about in pricing in Social Media United? Great question. Generally speaking, there are two pricing structures that are going to work for you. So either you can go premium and recognize that you're going to be established as the leading premier agency, that you're going to only work with people who are already established, their businesses are already successful and have budgets. So you're going to be qualifying people, maybe even pre-qualifying them before the call. You're going to make sure to hold tight and stick to your guns and make sure that you're getting the pricing that you're asking for. So that's one strategy. Or the other strategy is to go local pricing and take on multiple clients. So if you meet with people and their budgets are $500 a month, you're like, oh, I can't give them everything I want to. What you can do instead is create a package that makes sense for local businesses and pitch that as a benefit. Share, I'm only offering this pricing for people in our area. So for $500 a month, I can handle your Instagram account, or I can grow your Facebook page, something like that. So create a local pricing package and then take on multiple clients who are obviously going to be very, very loyal to you. Now, the best practices that I have found is to first and foremost discover their true needs. What is their major need? And these questions are really helpful in the process so you don't find yourself growing a Facebook page and then having the client say, but it didn't return any sales. Make sure that you're very clear about whether or not their needs are going to be met by what your services offer. Or if that's not the case, uncover their expectations. What is it that they expect is going to happen? You can even ask that directly. Reasonably speaking, what do you expect is going to happen over the next 3 months? 1 year from now, what results would you like to see? If they're talking mostly about growing their following and getting an engaged community, being able to share their deals and have people seeing them and commenting and engaging, that's all indications that someone is a good fit. If their expectations are to see a trackable return on investment, you could potentially put together an ad and a funnel and all of that, everything that's found in SMU Elite. But the reality is they're probably not going to be good fits for social media organically because they're going to have an expectation that is really hard to fill with organic social media. Now, you can play up the local business owner angle, and this is huge. So you can definitely hit on this. If you cold email them or cold call them or go into their store, say, I'm a local business owner, I own a marketing agency. Make sure you hit on the commonalities. Why do you love the area that you're from? How do you know the people? What do you have in terms of insights that other people don't know about the local market? Play that up. It's going to benefit you in every single area when you work with local small business owners. Now, local small businesses can be a gold mine for the right person, and I know this because I've seen a ton of people have massive success with them. For example, Allison Harpole, also Brittany Hanson-Tilley. So many people have had massive success. Melanie Deal, Jeannie Yuri. I could go on and on and on. It's a gold mine for the right person. If that sounds like you, when going through this training, you're like, I've weighed the pros and the cons. I think this sounds like a great opportunity, and I'm excited about it, and I want that gold mine. Then you are ready for local small businesses. Go get them, SMU crew. I'll talk to you later.